chapter clicked in to College Volleyball Weekly on Viral Volley Media. Now here's your host, Rob on mic.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to College Volleyball Weekly, episode 291. It's a kind of week three-ish, but a week four recap. And we're going to talk about week five that's coming up. On screen, Jay Hosick of George Mason, Dan Friend of Lewis, both freezing their bejewsies off. I don't know what that is, but I just know they're cold because they're talking about temperatures with this. I don't know if it's an Arctic, stream coming through, but they're cold. Then you got the SoCal boys. Just put on some sunscreen. They've had their kale shakes and they're ready for a cup of almonds to start off their morning. That's Brad Rostratter of UC San Diego and Theo Edwards of
I
Seaside.
didn't tell you my breakfast routine. That's weird, Rob.
Kale shakes. I love it.
So I'm going to start off with my social media shout out because that's a quick piece. I'm going all the way back to week three, but shout out to Courtney Miller. She's working with Josh Nakoba and his new volley media venture, which he hasn't shared with me, which I'm surprised. It's called Buhl Media. Follow it, Buhl, and then media. He's got his own website, but this is the mission statement. Volleyball deserves better. What started as one creator capturing moments on the volleyball court has grown into a full-scale volleyball media agency dedicated to elevating athletes, teams. I'll have to take issue, though. He needs to elevate the coaches, too, and organizations with modern, attention-grabbing content. And as Courtney Miller, whom I met, who shared this with me, who I'm going to post some pictures of this group working at the Boys Southwest Classic, and especially to Matt Houlihan. Yeah, he's been killing it with the fifth set breakdowns and all that other stuff, but he put together such a solid video honoring Glenn Litsky at First Point, which we played between sets 2 and 3 for every one of those matches that was on ESPN Plus and then finally on ESPNU. So wanted to give a shout out to those people involved. So, yep. Anything to add, gentlemen, to that? If not, we move on. Looks like we are good. Some news items. NKU first program win against Thomas More. Manhattan's first program win at Harvard. University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, undefeated at 4-0, but they face Ball State this week. We'll see what happens there. And a former staff of Brad Rostratter. CUI, or Concordia University International, John Girton getting his first win against Springfield back on January 16th, and then upsetting number 18, Princeton. So, with that, we are, unless you guys want to comment on any of those little news items and anything I might have missed, feel free to jump in. A quiet week. I think the snow's frozen Jay's mouth. Dan is still cold and shivering. And the SoCal boys are smiling because they're now applying a second layer of sunscreen. So with that, elephant in the room. And since Brad brought it up first this morning about not talking about the previous week results, let's call on Brad.
All right. So the last 2 weeks for us, this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, we were out in Provo. Actually, the weather was sunny and nice and not chilly, like Dan and Jay are going through, and like we're going to be going through here in a few days as we travel out to Chicago. But yeah, we lost 2 matches at BYU. Night one, BYU played out of their mind, led by Connor Aldani. I think he had, I forget at this point, but 15, 16 kills and maybe one error, if not no errors on the night on 20 swings, and he was lights out. And then night two, really good battle. And their middle, AJ, I forget his last name, I think Cottle. But he was really good at the net, really good offensively. And just we couldn't quite finish off the fourth set after having a few set points to push it to a fifth set. But yeah, amazing experience and great competition out there for us and for our team. And then this past weekend, we hosted UCLA at home in front of a near sellout crowd, which was pretty exciting. And a really our student section really showed out, and they put on quite a performance and did quite a show with some of their cheers and everything they had going on, which was great to really see for our guys. And yeah, we lost in three, but At times we were playing some really high level volleyball and just working towards being more consistent as we prep for Dan and Loyola next weekend.
Well, that seems a natural segue because we're going to have the CVW Clash of the Titans in Brad and Dan. But let's talk about Dan's previous matches in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, went out to Penn State and played St. Thomas Aquinas, a fairly newer program that we haven't played yet. And it was a good opportunity to play those. And, as we talk about the international influx, they certainly had a few guys on that team and they're talented. And then, I got played Penn State the next day. And I thought it looked like both teams were battling, but it also looked like January volleyball. There were 90 errors between the two teams. And I thought Penn State was a little bit cleaner at the end. And they had some really nice play by a couple of their guys. And Jackson Hurd was pretty competitive, which was great to see. And so, and then we got prepped to be home. We'd been on the road the first 2 weekends. And so it was great to get home this weekend and played Quincy, who is now pivoted out of the MIVA into the GLVC and is coached there by one of my alumni, Omar Sanchez. So that's always fun to battle against. And again, I think they're kind of a younger group. They had some transfers out, as we know. So went to Loyola, but he's got some new guys in there and a couple international guys as well. And so, but I thought we took care of business with that match, and then got into Pepperdine, and it was a great match, sold out crowd, and we were doing things for CALS Angels, which is pediatric cancer awareness. Which was fantastic. And that group was out and just really rocked house. And, we started off well. We were up 2-0, doing some nice things. And I thought controlling some first contact stuff really well and put some pressure on those guys. We saw them sub out a little bit in their L2. And then, we got into game 3 and couldn't quite finish it. And they capitalized a couple things, maybe OG going out has a little bit to do with that, unfortunately for us. And so he kind of had an injury that happened in game 3. And so we had to make some adjustments and then Diego went out in game 4. And so anyway, but Pepperdine turned it around and Hartkey got hot. I mean, that guy's tough, 6'10", or whatever his weight is, and goes OT, and we're not small. Do you know what I mean? So and then I thought Grant kind of recovered. He got back in the lineup and had some key swings for them towards the end in that 5th game. And but yeah, great early battle with a top 10 program that I think will probably be top 5 as the season rolls around towards the end. And recovery and get prepped for Brad coming in this week. So
cool. All right, jump over to Jay as he's defrosting. The smile is coming a little bit more quickly now.
Well, I'm smiling because I got a couple neighborhood kids outside shoveling my driveway for me. So at least I don't have to go out there and do it myself.
Minimum wage, Jay, right? Minimum wage?
A little bit higher. We live in Virginia. It's not exactly cheap to live out here. So but no, it's nice to not be out in the freezing cold right now. After our first weekend's match, one of our better outside hitters went down with an injury, and looks like it's not going to be favorable for him to come back. But we went out to Ohio State and played them with the new lineup, trying to figure some things out. And I thought those first 2 sets were pretty telling of the potential that we have. We go extra innings in both of those sets and had some chances to take 1 or 2 of them. And if we had one of our top producers out there, maybe it's a different story. But regardless, we went down in 3. But I really liked the way my guys played. And the next night we played Long Beach State, and Long Beach State's number 1 or 2 in the country for a reason. They got a lot of players that returned from last year, and they got a new setter, but he runs a nice offense, and they got just some arms, and get them out of trouble. And they're not doing necessarily anything flashy. They're just doing things well for long strings and periods of time, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on anybody they face. So we went out of there, learned a few things about ourselves, and then last weekend had Merrimack come down, and we beat them in 3. Again, trying a new lineup, a couple new guys in there, seeing what they can do. And I, we're still figuring some things out, but I like the direction that we're going. Getting a victory at 3 is always good. And, we got a couple of big matches this weekend coming up with Ball State coming into town and Mount Olive coming into town. And we're hosting Maryland Eastern Shore to come out because they're playing both those teams as well. So a lot of travel on a weekend when there's going to be a lot of bad weather. So hopefully everybody's safe and everybody gets here safely and ready to play. But we're excited about the direction we're headed. And, just trying to figure it out like everybody else. 90 errors though, Dan, that's a lot of errors in a match between two teams. I can only imagine you and Pav in the conversation after that. But yeah, it's January.
Pav was using his walker thing I gave him. He was fine, dude. So.
A great social media post by Lewis Men's Volleyball. Dan walking over with the 4-pronged walker with Lewis stickers all over it for Coach Pav in his retirement tour.
Yeah. And knowing Pav, he appreciated that to no end, probably. He probably enjoyed it thoroughly.
Much better than Arnie when I gave him the rocking chair in chair 1, do you know what I mean? So.
Well, that leaves Theo Edwards and the Fighting Theophytes, or otherwise known as the Matadors. What say you?
2 weeks ago, it's funny, week to week as a coach, I feel like you move on pretty quickly mentally. So going back 2 weeks, it feels like ancient time at this point. But we were actually in Missouri in year 2 of the Under Armour Invitational, an awesome event that Lindenwood hosted this season. And we got to face off against Lindenwood and Purdue Fort Wayne, and had 2 really, really great matches. We lost the first one against Lindenwood. Thought Zach Solomon, their setter, did some fantastic things. I think that, one of the interesting things about Lindenwood is they're incredibly resistant to triple blocking. And Solomon keeps them in system from 25 feet. And some of the tempo stuff that they're doing was pretty impressive. But definitely a great prep for us, and helped us get ready in a lot of ways, and point out some things that we needed to work on. And we were able to kind of turn around, bounce back, and take it to PFW, and had a great win against them, and then brought some of our first road. We were on the road for the first 2 weeks, so we got to bring a lot of those lessons back home. And this week we hosted LIU. It's a program first for us, our first time taking on the Sharks, and got a nice 3-set win against those guys. And Justin, I think, is doing some phenomenal things with that team, and so I'm really excited about the future of LIU. And then we only played one this week because today we play Larry Rather and his squad, who's going to be here, and pretty excited about that. They're actually, I think, serving and passing right now in the gym as we speak.
Should go in with a camera and we'll start talking to them.
Go bring him in. But yeah, we're excited, man. Fort Valley is a good team, and excited to kind of face off with them tonight.
Awesome. I am not going to talk about my team, but instead I'm going to go back to the First Point Collegiate Challenge, because obviously with the recent passing of Glenn, there were a lot of questions of how it was going to run. It was an amazing event still. And the fact that they were able to get ESPN Plus to stream it, and then ESPNU for the last match between UCLA and Loyola was amazing. The first match to kick it off was Ball State Stanford, which was a 5-set thriller. And man, Patrick Rogers, amazing. I mean, I seen him on the beach. I'm like, he's pretty impressive on the beach. Some had some AVPs this last summer. I'm like, is this the same Rogers? I'm like, isn't he supposed to be on some NTDP indoor and beach? But it was him, and man, he's the real deal. Fun player to watch, and just loves the game. You look at his countenance; he loves the game. I think he loves outdoor more than indoor, from what Coach Iandolo said. But good for him. He's having fun. He's having a great season. So, with
that match, Stanford's setter was out, right?
Yes, and no indication as to why. He went with Gant, and then switched it to Jacob Little Phillips for the rest of the weekend.
I think there's some concussion stuff going on with him,
because he was out this weekend too, right?
Yeah,
in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, he played against us and had the thing around the neck, and so I didn't ask questions. You know what I mean? And so but my guess is there's some stuff going on. I think that the other 2 setters are talented, but that does change that dynamic a little bit, from that standpoint. And so there we go. Because then Loyola doesn't have Miguel yet. He's out as well. Do you know what I mean? And so I was just thinking about, how we're going to start talking about how some of these injuries. Brad's got a rolled ankle, right, on your guy, that he was out a little bit.
A rolled ankle? No ankles. We had a guy out, but no ankle.
No ankle. Yeah. Well, an injury, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just was curious on that match. I thought that would certainly made a little bit of impacting, taking nothing away from Ball State and Patrick Rogers, because he's a stud. You know what I mean? So,
well, and isn't Iandola one of your disciples too? He's a Lewisite.
He is a Lewis guy. You know, he did play.
I like Dan trying to get some injury intel on the podcast before
I
they
know.
play.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
great
the
gamesmanship
listener
right there.
questions are coming
That
up
was
at the
great
end where we ask
gamesmanship.
about all that stuff, Dan.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Throwing some stuff out there, guys.
Brad, you got like 2 or 3 guys out, right? What happened there?
he was asking for the confirmation number for our flight.
Well, the only other thing I'd want to add about the weekend is Zach Rama of UCLA. And he's got so many names that he's contending with to get that forefront of attention. But man, he let his numbers do the talking that weekend. And man, I'm so impressed by him and Patrick Rogers. Who, yeah, I love to give the setters and Libros love, but man, they just were overpowering last weekend. So
Yeah, you want to talk about leaders right now in player of the year category. I mean, you got Andrew Rowan, obviously at UCLA, and obviously people are looking at Cole Harkey because he's big, but Dylan Klein, Patrick Rogers, Zach Rama, I mean, that nasty group of kids to look at across the net. So hats off to those guys. And what I'm hearing some really insane numbers that we talked about earlier, but for the fans to hear is some really insane attack numbers from those guys that middle hitters would be envious of having. I mean, they're over 500, a large number of them, and a few just under at 475 for the year so far. And granted, it's not, the best of the best playing the best of the best and still having those numbers, but still the numbers are ridiculous.
The ABCA
yeah,
is doing
go ahead.
The ABCA is doing something cool. They're going to do a watch list for player of the year. So they made a list of like, I don't know, 12 or 14 guys. And certainly that list can change over the course of a season. But I know they've done it on the women's side. But I think that's coming out pretty soon, just like a watch list. And it's interesting. The original, this watch list doesn't have a libero. So I did make a comment. Why? We can't put a libero in 14 guys that we might want to watch. And
Yeah.
But, they don't score points. You know what I mean?
If you look at the NCAA stat side on hitting percentage, top 25, I think over half are outsides, which is pretty, and hitting over 475.
It's stupid. And their reasoning, I understand a little bit of the reasoning. You need over 10 sets per match, I believe, 10 attempts per match. And otherwise your numbers don't correlate well enough. And I get it, because you could be a middle and get 5 sets only, and you could hit 800 and you're like, hey, that's awesome. Why is he not up there? But it's only 5 attempts. And so the pins are normally going to get those recognitions from those things. But still, the percentage, the hitting percentage of those hitters, I mean, those are ungodly numbers for a pin.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking at a coach that's me facing USC, you've got the top 2 at Dylan Klein and then Wesley Smith, who's not a small dude. So, yeah, get your game plan together for USC, because it's gonna be a hard one unless you got a couple giants on your team right now. So
I'm excited for the next USC scouting report that says Wesley Smith, not a small dude. Quotations, Rob on the mic.
That one's free, people. That one's free. Let's go with our week. Let's see, we're week 5. No, week 4. Pick your matches that you want to talk about. And since we picked on Brad first, we're going to go over to Jay, since he went last in the last one.
Nice. I am going to go with McKendree and Penn State matches. Penn State, obviously, this is, Pav's swan song year. I know his guys are playing hard and they want to win one last one for the Gipper, if you will. And, McKendree is a team that in years past, people have started to really take notice of. It wasn't that they weren't before, but really Nikki is just doing a fantastic job, and she's had some players that are stepping up. And their kid Sam Hoskins having a year so far. And just so you all know, he's my player for pick of the week. I'm throwing it out there early, don't steal it. But Sam Hoskins the first night had 12 kills, hit 600. And the second night he had 16 kills and hit 400. And I'm looking at Penn State's lineup, and they don't have Luoma on the right side, who has traditionally been their guy that they use, and they're using Truby on the right side. So I don't know if there's an injury. I don't know if they're just going with another guy to see what he can do. Truby's a big kid, 6'11", real long levers. Maybe they were trying to get a block, a better block or some kind of a block up there to slow things down. But got to give credit to that Hoskins kid and Nikki going into Penn State territory and taking both matches from them. That's no small feat. So that's the match I want to talk about. Kudos to Nikki and her crew.
Well, that was
Yeah,
in
Hoskins
Lebanon,
is-
though. That was Penn State going to Lebanon.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
at Penn State. My fault. My fault.
Well, there's a couple of things with this. Like, somebody recognized McKendree that they should be ranked a lot higher in the beginning of the year goes would be my one comment. Like, they finished regular season champs last year, returned probably half of their core lineup starting, and there's no recognition by people across the country. So they still play with this chip on their shoulder. They're going to prove everybody wrong. And at some point here, it's like, hey, Penn State walks into their house. So I am not shocked at all in terms of, like, from our match with Penn State, they've got the pieces and they keep getting better. But like I said, neither one of us were real clean. And McKendree plays really clean ball control volleyball. Consistently have been doing that. You know what I mean? And so they come fast at you. So they probably certainly jumped on that side of things and kind of control it. I'd be interested to look at the overall box score about how many errors were married and things like that. But yeah, certainly Hoskins is a good guy to pick, Jay. I think he's actually the son of an official we had for a long time, and Dean Hoskins. And his dad played a little bit, and so it's cool to see. And Sam was one of those under the radar kids that, you know, probably followed the footsteps of Shuley. If you guys remember, he was there last year, and is doing some really, really nice things. And Nathan Flater, he was on our U21, and I think the collegiate team too, if I'm right. And like, I don't know, like he was on some rosters. And super talented and probably one of the best setters alongside some other ones in the country in terms of how he does some things. And so,
Yeah, I think Flater's in that conversation for top 3, top 5 setter in the nation. And he's been doing a really good job and just keeps getting better. And then Roland Lively, night 2, they go 4 with Penn State, 13 kills, 1 air, hit 667. So talking about hitting percentages, he's doing a really good job for them early on in the season.
Yep. Anyone else on McKendree Penn State series?
Some big wins for Nikki.
Yeah. Nikki Magic. So I will add that Nathan Flater, if Rambo were a volleyball player, for all you guys raised in the late 70s, 80s, Rambo, Sylvester Stallone, the guy that was wild, savage, beaten up on entire armies, that's who Flater is in my eyes. He just commands the court and is so resourceful, and he just looks tough when he's on the court. So, but it's been fun watching him play and running that offense for Nikki and the Bearcats. So, all right, that's a great choice to kick us off, Jay. How about we'll go over to Theo, back to the West Coast.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the ones that stuck out to me is you know, I hate to say this, Brad, but the UCLA and San Diego matchup. And most specifically, I think the unique piece, right? UCLA obviously doing some impressive things. The duo between Sean Kelly and Zach Rama, and the dynamic of those two pins, their physicality, but also just how skilled they are. I mean, these guys obviously can get up, hit over the block, but they also have incredible skill sets in terms of what they can do from a ball control perspective, and just the way that they kind of keep Rama safe or Rowan safe when there are bad sets and when there are some tough situations, what they do to clean it up. And in that match, they had 85 swings, and the two of those guys had 53 of them. And so just carrying a huge load in terms of UCLA's offense, and obviously with guys like Cam Thorne and some other offensive weapons that they have. I mean, there's a big reason why this team is highly touted and is number one. And so impressive group to watch. And you know, I think if you look at their ball control and the way that they're passing the ball, to have two pins at that size with that dynamic, and both of those guys passing over a 2-2 on a 3-point scale, pretty darn impressive. So thought that was definitely something worth talking about.
Well, UCLA is a team hitting percentage 473, and the next closest, Long Beach State. Yeah, Long Beach State at 438. So Andrew Rowan running a great offense for the Bruins. Anyone else want to chime in?
Especially Rama as a passer really continues to improve and grow. You know, I think Kelly's always been pretty well-rounded. But Rama last year, I thought that was a weaker point for him, and he was real good on Friday night, unfortunately for us.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else on the matchup that Theo picked? Nope. All right. That means you go over to Dan.
I gotta pick the UCI BYU. Like, I mean, those guys played like 500 points. Like, it's a lot of volleyball, guys. Like, that's ridiculous. What UCI was down 0-2 and had a reverse sweep the first night, and then up 2-0 and went 5 the second night. Is that correct with all that? Like,
That's right.
God.
Yep.
Like, those guys are gassed and need a couple days off, both teams. You know what I mean? From that standpoint, I think we know Irvine's going to be good. I think we haven't. I don't know how much we've talked about it's Andre, right? Correct?
Andre Jokanovic.
Jokanovic. Like, I mean, like, they've got some talent. You saw Costy's kid light it up, on the assist night, in terms of that on the second night. And so, but man, tough place to go in and get 2 matches and to get them both done in 5, is fantastic for Niffen and his crew. And again, I think another top 5 team that is going to put themselves in a pretty good spot at the end of the year if their pieces stay healthy and in their good spot. I think there's a lot of guys we could talk about on this Irvine team and from that standpoint, but I'll let you guys go.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on that. You touched upon it briefly, staying healthy. I think right now, you look at some of the better teams in the country, and those being UCLA, Long Beach, USC, UC Irvine, Pepperdine, Hawaii. How deep can they go? How many guys could take a night off if they wanted, or unfortunately be injured and not be able to play and still be able to maintain that level? And really, the great players can still carry the load, even though they know that they're getting maybe a few more sets per to cover the missing of somebody else. But I think that's going to be the real difference maker down the line is if teams are not deep, they may have moments where they look really, really good, but can they sustain that through an entire season together? That's going to be really, really tough to do. The same 7, 8 players, 9 players maybe are getting that playing time all the time. It's going to wear some teams down, and it's just nature of the beast. It is what it is. But the deeper teams, the UCLAs, the Long Beaches of the world, the USCs, maybe the UCIs, they've got some people that can play. And you can see Niff mixes his lineups an awful lot. He's trying all kinds of different things in a time of the year where it's not hurting him so much because he knows down the line he might have to do that. And he doesn't want to get into those matches later on down the line where, we haven't tried something for a while. So, that's going to be key is health and how long people can stay healthy.
But don't you think, like, we talk about the playing with the lineup, like it's harder now. Like, hey, there's 3 added spots. And if you're Niff, who might have looked on the outside before, do you know what I mean, versus being on the inside, I wonder with him where it's like, we talk about he plays with the lineup, and he gets these 2 wins in 5, which I think are huge non-conference wins as you go down the road and you start talking about RPI and on the road and beating those guys. But coaches, I'm conscious of that. You have to be conscious of that. Like, you play a team where, hey, maybe you think or the guys think they're not quite at your level, and you want to change your lineup, and all of a sudden you guys have been doing this as long enough to know that the things kind of roll, and then you're throwing your starters back in. I'm not sure I'm in that same headspace as I was before when you walk into some of those games, especially with some of the teams now that are like a handful of international guys, and they're super talented, and you're not quite sure what you're getting with that. So I think it becomes a little bit more difficult in this early January piece where you're like, hey, I'm trying to do that. How do I do that but make sure my team's still in a good flow? Because these matches will matter when it comes down to the end.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we had the luxury of watching Irvine in person, and I really think a lot of their roster stuff is because they're so damn talented. And the addition of Costi and really how good he's gotten so quickly. The stuff that they were doing with the 6'2" and where William Darcy comes out, and I mean, to take a guy like Will Darcy off the floor, I mean, that says a lot about the skill level of that roster and what they're capable of. And so, yeah, but I'm with you, Dan. I totally agree. I think the times of rolling out your subs, so to speak, I don't see a roster in especially in the top 20 that's able to do that on any given night. I mean, for the most part, most coaches are going with their guys, and knowing that you could end up playing against a guy. I mean, we did it against Maryville, and obviously we had our starters in there, but they had an opposite come off the bench who tagged us up for like 17 kills. And I mean, was just ridiculously athletic and really physical and really talented. And so, any given night, there's some really, really great volleyball players around the country, and it's really tough to go through the lineups and mix and match.
Yeah.
I also think that's why the numbers are so good. And what I mean by that is like you see like UCLA on a couple teams that might be not quite top 20. Like you're still seeing a couple of those main starters just light it up, which is great for the game and great for those kids because coaches are going to like, hey, you're going to see our best. And you're going to get a feel for what it's like to play at the level that you need to learn play. So I think that's a good thing from that side as well. So
Yeah, I just wanted to add that there were so many different lineups thrown out. UCI goes down 0-2, BYU playing lights out with the Herget brothers in. And I mean, Jerem Jordan made the funniest crack on night 2 about, hey, it's a GCU part 2 playing tonight that ended up going up on the Eaters. But, with all their former Oldani, Kyle Zedeker, and Trent Moser. We're all on the court, and I'm like, man, imagine what Grand Canyon could have had. Grand Canyon, I hope you are listening. You had a good team coming up. But let's go back to what's happening now. BYU is a good team. Sean has thrown together a great lineup. But back to Irvine, Niff has thrown out so many different iterations of his lineup. Honestly, I try to predict every match, and it's just way off. But I know it's situational. He brings in Andre Brink, the Danish beach player, to pass along with Jokanovic, and decides to switch it up, puts in Kiriakou, a smaller outside, the Canadian, and then let's go to a 5-1 with Costi, and it's working. So this is a Niff thing. He gets all his players' time, so as Jay was saying, deep in the season he can go to that lineup. But an interesting side note: they panned to the crowd. And in presence on night 2, John Costi in the Irvine section, not wearing a UCI sweatshirt, just wearing a Bay Area sweatshirt. So this week when Stanford comes to Irvine, I'm going to rock him a good UCI sweatshirt because I want to get a picture of him. But hey, Brad, pick your match or your matches.
I think kind of a perfect segue. I got Stanford UCSB. And Dan alluded to it. Stanford's kind of been playing both Gant and Little Phillips, who aren't nearly as experienced as kind of their setter they've had for the past few years. And you see Stanford, find a way to win night 1, winning in 5 behind Moses Wagner, 20 plus kills. He had 21 kills, 10 digs. And then night 2, the opposite for UC Santa Barbara, George Bruning responds by hitting about 380. I forgot how many kills he had, but having a really good night there, led by Cole Schobel running a nice offense for UCSB. So I think overall a good trip for UC Santa Barbara to push Stanford to 5 and then sweep them the next night while Stanford's kind of trying to sort out what's going on with their setting position moving forward.
Question, 2 things actually. I think Bruning on the first night, what did he hit, like 050 or something like that?
Yeah, it was close to 0.
Yeah, it was not a very good night for him, and he carries a large load for that team. Santa Barbara will go as George Bruning goes, I think, moving forward. Second thing, which is more of an off court type situation, did Costi have to get clearance to be able to go watch that match? Because obviously he's a head coach of an opposing team and in conference.
He's got the automatic with his son being on the squad.
Yeah, I know he does, but you know what? There might be some teams around the country, and maybe on the other side of the gender population that might not be so forthcoming with that. They might say, "No, you're not allowed to be here because we're going to see you in a few weeks." Not saying it would happen, but that's the beauty of the men's game is that we all understand and doesn't really do anything.
Well, word on the street is the only reson he went to Irvine was so that John could do some in-person scouting. That's what I heard. So.
Yeah, when I saw the camera pan over, I saw Costi with a clipboard and starting right.
Hot take right there.
Costi's an old dog, guys. You couple young pups here. That guy could give a rat's ass about taking any note.
Right.
Team.
That's right. That's right.
So.
Yeah, but I think Jay, you hit something on the head there in the sense that Santa Barbara is going to go as far as George takes them. And on night 2, him hitting 400, and I mean that it was a little bit of a different offensive look for Santa Barbara, and really changed the course of that match for sure.
Yeah, if for you old guys out there that remember this, Bruning reminds me a lot of a Steve Klosterman from UCLA, where the joints are not double jointed, they're triple jointed. And you see him on his approach, and his hands, I think they come all the way back over to in front of his head before he goes and he approaches. I mean, that kid is limber as heck. But yeah, it's Santa Barbara is going to go as far as that kid will take him, and hopefully he stays healthy through the year, knock on wood, and can carry that load for him because he's pretty darn good.
Yeah. Anyone else on Santa Barbara? No. I'll just add, I got to throw a shout out to my neighbor less than 3 miles away, Cole Schobel. To me, player of the year based on the mustache alone, but seeing his offensive mindedness, he is so aggressive. He is a 0 kills. I think he was hitting 1,000, with 8 swings, 7 swings. I'll look at the stats, but I was watching the match. Even the commentators are saying, man, every time he swings to the ball, he puts it away. And you don't exactly know when he's going to swing. He's just not afraid to let her rip on that second ball. And I love seeing that and I guess he's by these standards a smaller setter, but I love seeing the aggression. Reminds me a lot of a former Theophyte, Donovan Constable, in a way. So I don't want to say undersized, but let's just say not as big as the 6'9", 6'11" Tread Rosenthal setters. And it's fun to watch Schobel play.
Well, so. And you touch upon something I think that all coaches have their own preferences on, but one of the things that I think is really remarkable when you have a setter like Rosenthal that's 6'10", let's just say, just to cut in the middle, if your middle is not up faster and up a little bit higher in that range and that airspace, it's going to be really, really tough for them to be successful. It's easier for a middle to not have to be so early or so on time because the shorter setter ball's got to go up a little bit further. But when you see a 6'10" guy jump setting and he's already at 11 feet or so and he's touching the ball, that's tough for middles to be successful with. So, got to give those guys some credit here.
Yeah. Anything else on the matchups? I didn't let the coaches pick another one here, but I actually forgot to drop in the news items. Congratulations to Jessup with their first program win over Sacred Heart back on the 19th. I'm so impressed by Kyle Still, their head coach, because he's making you guys look like you're doing nothing. He coaches both the men's and the women's teams. So, and he
I've
has
done that before.
Oh, all right. Well,
I did that for my first 4 years or 5 years of coaching. I did that for both teams at Santa Cruz. That was a long time ago. It's not easy work.
Yeah,
sure.
Also wanted to shout out the BYU broadcast team. Obviously, it's a new team with the passing of Steve Vale, for which, presence is definitely missed. And it's good to see Jerem back on. But Amy Gant is now the analyst, and she did a great job dropping some great factoids. We love the pop culture references. Steve did his thing and made us all chuckle and laugh and, jump on board. But it was great broadcast. And Niff, between sets 2 and 3, shouted out, his interview finishes like they do at BYU, like to talk to the coaches. And Niff's like, wait. I just want to say, we miss Steve Vale, and just want to remember him and his legacy here at BYU. And I thought one of the most classiest acts for one of the most entertaining names in the men's volleyball. So, but wanted to get some other matches that we may not have missed because we are strictly top 20, but we'll cover some receiving votes and some other matches that catch our eyes in our panels picks. So wanted to get your guys' thoughts on any other matches that caught your eye during the week. Could be in the top 20, could be a receiving vote, or just another match that was on your radar.
Yeah, I got a team you should be watching, and that's Fort Valley State. I know that they have gone winless so far on their LA trip. They're going to figure some things out. And, I know Theo is not taking them lightly by any standard. The results do not dictate the quality of that team. And again, they got a kid named Isaiah Fed that, he made his numbers might not be great right now. He's going up against some pretty experienced blocks, but he is learning with every swing what he can and cannot do. And when that team starts coming into their conference time and it starts coming down to tournament time, that kid if his shoulder's still on by the time he's done, because man, he hits it a ton and he's getting a lot of swings. That's a team, though. Don't sleep on Fort Valley State just yet. They have a couple other matches that are out of conference in the future that they could sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to bring up, I caught it on some social media stuff, but Manhattan had their first home match, I believe, against Roosevelt. And there were a lot of great clips, and they had a sold out place in New York. And granted, I haven't been there yet, but and they're coming to our place this weekend. But yeah, first year program getting after it and getting a great win, and they've got a couple, and so yeah, just if you want to give them some love, and great to see what they're doing there. So
Yeah. Anyone else? Brad, Theo.
No, we hit
Yep.
mine.
All
Did
right.
we talk about the Concordia and Princeton?
We mentioned it by just as a news item, but you're welcome to go more into it if you'd like, Theo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just an impressive sweep. Like, one, to beat a team like that, but two, to sweep them. And obviously shows some things what John's doing over there. And they got a guy named Tease
Cornelison.
Tease? Oh, it's Tease. Tease
Yeah.
Cornelison. Yeah, man. 13 kills, 391. Some impressive work, man. That's an impressive work. So I actually haven't had a chance to watch that film and see how that went. It looked like most of the sets were pretty close, but that's a nice win for Concordia.
Yeah.
the other one might be Purdue Fort Wayne beat Charleston.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so 3-1, Owen Banner, 16 kills, 23 points. And, Donnie's second year there, kind of building that program with some pieces. And I think that'll be a team to continue to watch as they improve. And so a good one for those guys.
Yeah. Well, with that, always the favorite time of the show when you guys are stealing each other's players of the week. So Jay already dropped his one, but we're going to go over to Dan, because Dan, I know he's got some good ones. Cole Hartke, 30,000 points against his team.
Oh, jeez.
Thanks for that. I was going to do Cole Hartke. He's a Chicago guy, played for BJ for a little bit, who used to play for me from Pipeline. So he had a great night against us. So really great job by him. And then my other one was, ultimately the Irvine guy we were talking about, Andre.
Jokanovic.
Yeah, Jukanovic. And so those would be my two picks.
All right. We'll go to Theo.
Yeah, I think this is a guy I feel like we've been talking about for 4 years, man. Mose Wagner. I mean, that guy had in the first night when they beat Santa Barbara in 5, he had 21 kills, hit 304, 10 digs, 22 points. So nice work by him. And then the other guy that I was going to shout out is Zach Rama, who obviously off to a big start, but I mean, that's a guy that I think we're going to see a one heck of a future out of him. USA Volleyball, professional, the whole night. So pretty impressive work.
Yep. All right, Brad.
All right, we survived. We had one left on the list because apparently we can just call out Sam Hoskins whenever we talk about a game, and he can be our pick. Or if we played the team, we automatically get that player. Just no order here at all. It's ridiculous, guys. I got William Darcy, 22 kills, night 2, 16 kills, night 1. And then I'm also going to throw some love, Roland Lively in the middle for McKendree, hitting 480, 15 kills, 5 blocks on the match or on the weekend. So nice weekend for him, helping the Bearcats win.
All right. It goes over to Jay, but he already picked one, but you can restate it and then pick another.
Well, yeah, I did choose early on purpose because I can do that once in a while as an elder statesman here. But no, Sam Hoskin was my pick. I also I had Darcy, 22 kills, 462 on the second night against BYU, and that's a guy that has not been playing very much. If you get 22 kills and hit 462, I'd probably find a way to put you on the court, even if it's just as a libero. But yeah, that kid is he's tall, he's long, he's got some levers on him. Pretty good player. So,
all right. And with that goes over towards our what you watching in week 5. Let's go reverse, Jay.
No, you gotta let Brad go first. I want to feel slighted. You know what I mean? So let
okay, Brad, go first so Dan can feel slighted.
About somebody bringing it up right now, and he didn't get his chance. Do you know what I mean?
All right, Brad, you got the call out.
All right, should I just go through my whole list of 9 games we got?
Yeah, that'll be great.
Good one.
We got I think Long Beach Pepperdine be a really good matchup. I think that's one I'm excited to check out and get to see. Um, I'll be nice here. I'll stick to Law and Order, and then I'll go Ohio State, UCLA.
All right. How about you, Jay?
If you're not watching Northridge Fort Valley State tonight, you should. It's going to be a fun match to watch. I'm going to pick two. Long Beach State Pep, no brainer. That's the match that everybody should be watching because it's going to be two of the top teams in the country getting after it. The last one I'm going to pick is San Diego versus Lewis. Battle Royale of the CBW. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
All right. Well, let's go to Dan then.
That's great, guys. I got Hawaii at Penn State because it's at Penn State. So Hawaii's got to travel there, which is a frozen tundra most likely. So hopefully Hawaii travels safe and they can make it there. But I got to believe that's a 2-match series, right? Hawaii's playing them twice. And so that'll be great. And then I want to see the UCI Stanford stuff. You know what I mean? And so that's the other thing. So certainly got a son on the other side when that battle happens. So that'll be a great match to watch. And how does Stanford kind of where its pieces are at a little bit compared to Irvine when they get in there. So.
And Costy's new UCI sweatshirt.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see the scouting report Stanford has on Costi and what they talk about. Like it's
It'd be great if you made a sweatshirt that had a tree falling on an anteater.
Oh my God.
Here's one for you. That it's our SID. We're fortunate enough to get a win against Stanford, but he had a thing that had a flyer chopping down a tree. I'm like, you can't do that. Like it doesn't. So we stopped him.
Yeah. These SIDs, some of them, I tell you.
Yeah. So
all right, Theo, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we have a CVW matchup, the Lewis San Diego, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. Gonna be a lot of fun to talk about it next week for sure. I think also San Diego on that trip is playing Loyola, so I think that'll be a really fun one as well. And anytime you got to go to Chicago when it's -55, always a blast, man. It's always fun to do.
It's normally so pretty at the end of January, though. So,
yeah, I think these couple of these were already mentioned, but the Hawaii and Penn State, I really think one of the interesting things about that, Hawaii was off this week, I believe. I think they were idle, and then Penn State coming off of the loss to McKendree. Be interesting. If you were to design a way for that team to get back on the horse, you'd probably just put 4 head coaches on the staff. You know what I mean? Then they would be geared up and ready to rock and roll. And I say that in full compliment. Penn State's got some great coaches, and those guys are going to gear them up and get them ready for this. And to see Hawaii play on the road, and obviously, what is that, like a 10-hour flight? It's like flying to Europe for those guys.
Yeah.
So I think they got to change planes 4 times, and then given the weather, it's going to be real interesting. So that's going to be a fun one for sure. The other one that we got to bring up here is Ball State and George Mason. Ball State playing some great ball right now. Obviously, Patrick Rogers and Ryan Lewis doing some really nice things for that team. George Mason looking to shock the world. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah, I appreciate the nod there. Here's the thing. I think people, at least maybe the average fan doesn't understand. When you travel, let's just say in Southern California on a road match, it's a little stress. There might be a little traffic on the 405. Maybe your normal kale smoothie place is closed for renovations, and so you got to try a new one out. Maybe your uniform has a little stain on it or hasn't been washed correctly. There's a little stress, right? A little stress. Maybe there's another team practicing in your gym during serve and pass. When you got to travel across the country, and Hawaii is going to feel it right now because really inclement weather coming our way. It's supposed to hit Friday, Saturday, Sunday next weekend. It's not going to be pretty. B, flying into Penn State is not done on the norm. State College has its own airport, but most teams don't fly directly into there. They fly into Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, and then or Harrisonburg if you're gonna pick Harrisonburg. But Then you got to travel in a bus for 3 hours to get to campus. Put that in there with some snow on the road, adding length of time. All of a sudden, you start to take into consideration all these different X factors that come out. And when you're on the Midwest and East Coast in the wintertime, when, our season actually goes, it's tough. It's tough for teams to travel back and forth and get to each other. And a lot of times they're not just next door. Lewis and Loyola have some, a little bit of a closeness proximity, which is good. But even that in the middle of snowy weather, not fun to drive. But most teams got to travel a couple hours minimum just to get to somebody else. So I echo Den's sentiment. I hope everybody gets out where they got to go safely. I don't want anything to happen to anybody, but you're getting a taste of what we all have to deal with on a regular basis during our season. So hopefully you can appreciate that a little bit more if you're the average person that looks at it from the outside in.
When I flew out of Happy Valley last weekend, we got to the airport and it was closed.
Oh.
And if you've never been there, the airport's pretty small. It's like
it's tiny.
It's a regional airport. But we got there like, hey, we can't get to the rental. Well, the whole airport's closed and everybody's been made to leave the building. You can go down the street. Like, why? Well, we can't tell you. So
it's a great little airport for the simple reason, you could stay home, and when somebody lands, you could just leave then to go pick them up from the airport, because it only takes about 10 minutes to get to the airport, no matter where you are. And then, people come, it's easy. But second of all, it's such a small airport. The guy who takes your bags and gives you your ticket at the front desk is the same guy who takes your ticket when you walk onto the plane, and is the same guy that welcomes you to the plane when you get off the runway or get up the stairs. So it's like this tiny little mom and pop airport. It's fantastic.
Hey, you forgot to mention he's also the pilot.
And he makes your kale smoothie.
Not quite that small, but close to it.
And he makes your kale smoothies.
I'll tell you the most entertaining part is for the big guys, the planes in that airport are very small. And so watching all these 6'9" to 7 foot dudes sit with their knees in their chin is pretty entertaining.
And it's not easy to get in there, because we would go, when I worked there, we would fly into Philadelphia for the connection. And they would just cancel the flight to State College because there wasn't enough people on the plane with us. And so you're just like, well, wait a minute here. Like, we got to get home. And luckily we could pull a few strings. But yeah, it's not easy to get into State College if you're not flying directly.
I told my guys it's the closest they'll get to chartering.
In fact, when Jay was at Penn State, it said assistant coach and flight attendant at a Happy Valley airport.
Yeah, it was me. I was the guy that took the tickets and welcomed them on the plane. That's my job.
Well, it's been an exciting week so far. I'm going to throw this kind of hot take question to you guys, but what's really, jumped at you these first 4 weeks of play? Kind of like a hot take-ish thing, off the cuff. Let's go with Theo, since he's got the great smile going right now.
Sorry, I had to take a quick phone call. One of my players was supposed to be somewhere. So sorry
he wants to get to the drink refrigerator. That's what it is.
What did I miss something?
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, start with somebody. We'll start with me.
We'll go with Dan. Dan, you're talking. Go for it.
There we go.
I think, I knew the MIVA was going to be a gauntlet, but I think it's even more so than I thought. You know what I mean? I think, there's a lot of teams in the middle of the rankings as well that we get in the conference play where they're all going to be pretty good. And even Northern Kentucky coming onto the scene, I think they got their first win. We didn't talk about probably that too long, but like Purdue Fort Wayne's figuring things out. And you got Queens down in Charlotte, but McKendree, Lindenwood, Ball State, Ohio State, Loyola, us, like it's going to be a gauntlet. So
yeah, Theo, it's like what's caught your eye most here, kind of on the fly, hot take-ish type moment. So I'll give you some more time to think, Jay.
I think the top 5 teams are teams that everybody kind of recognized early, but I think the next 5 have every chance of winning it just as much. And my top 5 are UCLA, Long Beach, USC, UC Irvine, Pepperdine. And you got Hawaii, Loyola, Lewis, BYU, Ball State. I mean, it is going to be a really, really tough year. And this is the year we expanded, which is awesome. It's going to be tough to get into that dance. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yep. All right. Go over to Brad.
I think we're seeing a lot more impactful non-conference matches, obviously. And I think it's gonna continue a trend where schedules get tougher and tougher and tougher. And I think that's gonna keep being something that as coaches we're gonna have to be looking at and evaluating with more at-large bids. What does that look like? And I think like you look at right Pepperdine coming off this weekend with two big wins out in Chicago, or Irvine coming off this weekend with two big wins out in Provo. I think those are going to be things we look back at come April that could end up being a differentiating factor for them. And other teams are going to go play in those similar matches, but I think scheduling is going to become more and more competitive due to the increased at-large bid opportunities.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. And then Theo, close
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I think these guys hit it as far as the competitive side. I think at some point, us figuring out how to, from an entertainment perspective, how do we continue to market this sport, and what does it look like down the road? I think that there's a lot of potential for our sport, NIL wise, but also just structuring and scheduling. What do we do to maximize the entertainment value that is men's volleyball, and just really how great the number of teams are. I mean, we're talking about it every year, but the top 20 is legit. I mean, all 20 of those teams are really, really good, and it's pretty special considering where our game has come, in the last 10 to 20 years. But I think the bigger thing is watching the impacts of 18, right? And we've now seen kind of what January looks like, and I feel like in a lot of ways it's very similar to January's of late. I think there's a lot of the coaches for sure on this screen and coaches across the country that are looking at, hey, what does training look like for us over the next 3 months as we start to, we just mentioned it, where there's not a lot of subbing happening in general. And as guys start to get banged up and what that looks like, continuing to advance and continuing to improve, and how the training develops over the next 2 to 3 months and what that looks like in comparison to where it's been in the past for many, many programs. So yeah, I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And Jay has been quoted on a lot of really, really great points in terms of practice players and the way that this works on the women's side versus how it's working and impacting the men's side. And there's some definite disparity and some inequality there in regards to that. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I think the sport's in a great spot. I think this is going to be a heck of a year.
Yeah.
Hey, my last point though is, as much as like Jay, you say the top five, I think UCLA is actually pulled away as a one. Like I think there's a gap with UCLA and the next team behind them. Like I could be proven wrong over the next month or give or take, and Brad played him, do you know what I mean? But man, they got a lot of pieces, and what I would say is the best setter in the country, do you know what I mean? And so it'll be interesting as they get into the heat of this weekend. I think they're going to cruise, honestly, do you know what I mean? But I think when they get into the heat of a couple conference matches, what's that look like? And do they go level up from there, even from that standpoint? So
Yeah.
I think we'll learn more about those other top teams. Like, think about the Long Beach Pepperdine match. If Long Beach looks real good in that one, then I think they're in that conversation too.
right.
Yeah. Mine's not so much a hot take, but a fun conversation I had with Shane Davis of Loyola at the First Point in regards to Dan Frand and the longtime relationship they've had in the Chicago area. But it just was funny hearing the stories between you guys. And that could be for an after dark episode of College Volleyball Weekly.
Former Mr. Iowa. Was he Mr. Junior Iowa or something like that back in the day? He was
on a magazine on a hay bale. I'm sure we can find a photo somewhere. So.
Oh no!
I'm surprised. I am surprised that an opposing team or fans have not made that thing into a blow up poster on a match. That's funny.
That's gonna be on Dan's shirts.
You're throwing ideas out for people left and right here, just so you know.
Oh boy, we've started it. The first punch has been thrown. I just wanted to close out the show with the NIL tournament, which there has been little to zero information out, that is supposed to feature Long Beach State, Hawaii, USC, and UCLA, February 19th and 20th at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. I've been getting a lot of messages. I know a lot of stuff isn't out there. And the only thing that I can say is I've been asked to work the event as an MC host. Haven't seen the contract, which means I'm very, very positive it's going to happen. But if it doesn't go down, I don't want to be the one that's going to be at the stake on fire and all that stuff. So I know Hawaii fans want to fly out because it's going to be an amazing match. And if the concern of the planning committee is filling the place, they're going to do a pretty good job just based on the Hawaii and Long Beach State fans. Because I know it's only a 10-minute drive straight up 22 for Long Beach State fans, and Hawaii fans are all over the place, and they want to see that ball. UCLA travel is okay. SC, gotta get people. SC, you guys have a good team. Follow them.
Yeah.
So that's all I can offer here. So with that, episode 291, unless you guys have a parting thought, deep thought, stay warm,
See you soon, Brad. Let me know if you need anything.
Sounds good. I just need a copy of your injury report, practice video, the usuals.
Yeah.
So that's Jay Hostick, George Mason, Brad Rothschild of UC San Diego, Dan Friend of Lewis, and Theo Edwards of CSUN. Appreciate your time weekly. You guys are awesome. Best of luck to your teams this week. And to the guys on the right coast, keep it warm in the Midwest. Keep it warm. Nothing wrong with cuddling up with a loved one instead.
Stay classy, DC.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Aspero at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.